for us to find our place in life, we need to go through this quest. That's what people refuse. They don't want to go. And this is why it's not a call to adventure, it's a crash. For most people, it's not a call to adventure, it's a crash. Because I refuse the call to adventure, I postpone the change, I push it out 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I resist, and then the crash hits. And the crash is a health crisis very often, a mental crisis always, and an existential crisis very often regarding career, and also a marital crisis. So it's just life collapses as I knew it. Hi there, my name is Steve Josh. Welcome to this channel where we talk about this personal development model. I call it, it's not the hero's journey, it's the prodigal son's journey. That's what I learned. And the big difference to me between the hero's journey and prodigal son's journey is that the journey really leads to the father. That's my understanding and also my experience. It's not just because with Campbell and with the hero's journey you find a meaning in life, but it's not only meaning, you find purpose, you find faith, you find God. That is my experience. So in these videos, this is what I'm talking about. There is a complex version of this model, and there are easier, simpler versions. One is the stages of meaning that you may have seen in the previous video, and the new one is this very, very simplified version, the prodigal son's journey, which I just created to make it really, really, really simple. So this is an explanation, an easy and light version of it to the prodigal son's journey. And the explanation is, you can also think of if you are not so familiar, you don't like the image of the prodigal son, it's just a pattern that keeps repeating. If you look at Moses, how he freed the Jews from the Egyptians only to be lost in the desert for 40 years before arriving to the promised land, it's the same story. There is a life of patterns. There is a life in the Matrix. We can also invoke the Matrix movie. There is a life in the Matrix, and then there is an awakening in everybody's life. And the cause for the awakening is simply suffering. It's the fact of not being happy. That's what I see, that in our end of our 20s or early 30s, we all face the fact that I'm not quite sure that I'm happy. I'm not quite sure that everything is okay in my life. And that's the awakening. In the Eastern traditions, they talk about the awakening. In my experience, this is the awakening when the observer awakens within me to understand, to analyze my own life. So there is a second person awakening within myself, to look at myself from the suffering, if everything is okay. And there is this self-reflecting, analyzing process that starts a journey, an inner journey. And that's, in Hero's Journey, they talk about the quest and the call to adventure in the Hero's Journey model, but often in contemporary people's lives, it's not a quest and there is no call to adventure. There is a call to adventure several times, but people usually don't take these calls of adventure. They choose safety instead. And because they choose safety instead of following the path, following the call to adventure, they arrive in crisis. Because they refuse change. People just, it's my impression, I've been working with people for over 10 years as a consultant in crisis situations, over 1,000 life stories, and what I see is that they refuse change. It's the wish for, or the need for safety. People refuse change, and that's the root cause of the suffering. I'm not flowing with the flow of life anymore. I'm resisting it. I built a house on an island And this is where I want to live. Thank you very much for all the events so far. I'm content with my life, or I'm compromising with my life. I don't want any more change. That's what people mostly decide. That's what society tells us to choose, to build your life and be happy and raise your children. And work is something that you do to make money, to provide for your living, and that's all there is to the mainstream view of how you should live your life. And opposing this, we need meaning. My experience is that we need to find purpose. It's a mistake to sit down and at 30 and to try to live another 30 years or 20 years in your work, just repeating the same. Majority of people is just working for money, and that's very dangerous. It should be. We all need purpose, and for us to find our place in life, we need to go through this quest. That's what people refuse. They don't want to go, and this is why it's not a call to adventure. It's a crash. For most people, it's not a call to adventure. It's a crash because I refuse the call to adventure. I postpone the change. I push it out 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I resist, and then the crash hits. And the crash is a health crisis very often, a mental crisis always, and an existential crisis very often regarding career, and also a marital crisis. So it's just life collapses as I knew it. That's the experience of people, and that's the end of the first phase, which is the life home, the life in the matrix, the life constrained by my patterns, the life among the Egyptians. And that's when the journey starts. The prodigal son is following desires. He wants to go. Modern people often don't really want to go. It's just a crash that happens, and then they have to go. And this journey is about facing our desires. It's about finding the truth. It's about integrating the shadow of our soul, as Jung put it. It's about reflecting on ourselves and finding truth. Really, that's the simplest way. Who am I? What is the word? Who am I? What am I to do about it? About life? How can I be happy? That's the big question of this second phase. And in this phase, we are fighting our desires. Really, that's why it's the defining feeling is the wanting. What I want. I want something, and how can I get it? It's about me. It's about freedom. It's about myself. It's about discovering. It's about following down this rabbit hole of my desires. That's the simplest way to put it. And that's why it's the journey of the prodigal son. And until rock bottom. Rock bottom is among the pigs in a barn, eating what the pigs had to eat. And that's why that's where we pick up our head, and we realize that we need a direction, we need order, we need purpose, we need God. And that's when the return starts to order from out of chaos. It's like a ship that sinks in chaos in the middle of our lives, and we need to fight our desires to get out of the chaos and back to order. And the order we find it's really based on a connection with the greater. There are any number of names for God, but eventually it's a connection with the greater. It's an experience of the existence of the greater. That's rock bottom. An experience of the existence of the greater and the love of the Word, the Creator, the Buddha, whatever, God, towards me. And that eventually provides all of us with a direction. And this crash is there are very differing stories, but the moment is the same when I crash. Anonymous Alcoholics is a good example for this. It really is a rock bottom, and then people find a direction and a thriving towards God and leading a more and more perfect life, and that's what helps them. And it's the same with many dependencies or addictions. We all need to find a higher purpose, in a sense, a higher addiction to fight addiction. Alcoholism, in my experience, is just a lack of a higher addiction, a lack of a higher purpose, a lack of better things to do with my life. Alcoholism is really just meaninglessness to the extreme, and meaning is the solution. We all need to find meaning, and meaning is with God. Meaning is in thriving towards God, in participating in this human story and enriching the creation, building God's country. That's what eventually we all find, in my estimation. And this is why faith is not something that one can teach somebody else. My experience is that everybody has to crash. We all need to experience this middle phase of life, choosing our desires and celebrating our freedom, and really suffocating in the emptiness, because a free person cannot connect. For a free person, everything is subjective, everything is individualistic, and he or she is the most important individual in the whole world, even more important than God. The free person, the individualistic person, for him or her, he or she is God. Eventually, we are worshipping ourselves in this middle stage. And my experience is that we all need to go through this somehow, choosing ourselves, putting ourselves in the center as God. And this leads to the total annihilation, this non plus ultra crashing of our life, where we get helped, and this being helped is an experience of a greater love of the Creator eventually, of the Father, of God, and that's how we get a new direction. This is what happened to me, and this is what I see with many people. But again, in this modern age, I think there is no escaping of this middle phase of the prodigal son, of total freedom and total arrogance and rebelliousness and individualism and wokeism and whatnot. We all need to go through this. And this is why, in my estimation, there is not much point in teaching young people religion. They need to unleash their burdens first. They need to become rebellious forces, and they need to crash in their own experience to appreciate the love, to appreciate God's love that turns towards them through other people when they are the at most exposed and the weakest. And that's how we find God. We need to crash to find God. That's my experience. And this is why I would not cope. I don't think there is any sense in coping individualism or wokeism or any of these things, because it's just a natural evolutionary step that we all need to go through. And so young people need to get help to be free, and it's a great thing for them to be free. But then free people who are already crashing need to be shown a way out, a way of community, a way of participation, a way of acceptance, and a way of love. That's the only thing that works. We need more communities where people can just join in, be honest, and feel accepted, because that's how we can channel God to the person who's ready to receive him. And the only way a person can be ready to receive God is through crash. That's what I've learned. This is what this video is about. Thank you for your patience. I need a lot of practice. I made over 1,000 videos in my native tongue Hungarian, but this is very early days for the English channel, so I'm hoping to get better at it, and also to clarify the images, words, terms that I'm using. So anyway, this is just the beginning. It's a precursor to a great channel, one could say. I'm practicing, and I'm uploading my practice videos instead of hiding them somewhere. Even though the feeling is that I should not publish this, I probably will. Thank you very much for your attention, and keep up the good fight, everybody.